Hello, everyone, and welcome to Entrepreneur Empire. And at the Empire today, we have a special guest. She is phenomenal. She has her own business that she works with her sons. And I met her through a mutual friend of ours. His name is Mike Jones. He had a gospel fest a couple of Saturdays ago. It was a beautiful event. You guys should have
Yes.
attended, yes. So please, Miss Latasha, introduce yourself. This is Latasha Ruffin,
Yes.
and she is the CEO of Morton Sugar Rush. I hope I said that correctly.
Yes. So my name is Latasha. I'm actually married to my husband Walter, and we have two children named Uzziah and Uriel. Um, and we're from Maryland. Well, we just moved from Maryland. We've been in Maryland for about 8 years. We moved to Georgia just for a new start and to be around some family and friends. So we moved here in May. And so far it's been cool. Like I can't complain. I love the weather. So yeah.
Wow, okay. So you do have family here in this
Yeah.
area.
I do have some family. My cousin, she used to live here not too far from where I live right now, but she moved to South Carolina right before I got here. So you know how that goes.
Okay, okay. So you haven't been here a whole year yet. Year May will make a whole year for you, huh?
Yes.
And that weather is a lot different.
Yes, I don't like
It's
the snow, so this was definitely a better move for me.
yeah, yeah. It doesn't snow here. I wish it would at least maybe once, around Christmas time or maybe in January, but we never get any. Um,
Yeah.
so now let's talk about your business a little bit. Morton Sugar Rush. How did you come up with that name?
Actually, my husband came up with the name. Morton is our last name, so that was a given. And then Sugar Rush was more like, mm, we knew we wanted to deal with sugar, so we was like sugar, so that it's not like the regular sugar. And then Rush, he just was like, why don't we just call it Sugar Rush? I
Hmm,
know there's like a Disney movie or something like that, or some type of Disney character. But that was all his idea. As long as I just put the name in the front of it, everything else was his idea.
that is unique and different. I like that. I like that. And it's um important to let your kids see you starting off so that they'll start off young. Let's talk about that a little bit. You have two boys, and I met them. They were so adorable. Young
Yeah.
men, I should say young men, because they looked like they was maybe teenager, mid-teen age. Um,
Hmm.
and they were so respectful and they served so well.
Yes.
Why did you want to have your kids involved with this?
Okay. Originally, the company is supposed to be my children's company. Um, my oldest son is 16 and my youngest son is 12. So, my oldest son, he plays basketball, and basketball take up a lot of time. So a lot of people were offering him jobs for like Chick-fil-A and McDonald's and stuff like that. But I knew that if he, started working, there's a possible chance that basketball wouldn't be that important. So his dad was like, no. At first I didn't understand, but then when I thought about it, I'm like, I understand his reasoning. So I said, why don't y'all make a business for yourself? So we started with t-shirts. And that kind of picked up a little bit, but it wasn't, we didn't know a lot of people. So we decided, let's try something else. So I started doing some research, and we first started off with freeze dry candy. I bought
Okay.
the machine, and they were doing good. My son started selling it at school, and then we started selling it at basketball events. Then we came across a video of lemonades, and I was like, well, why don't y'all do that? They were nervous at first, but once I bought everything, and I was like, look, y'all just gonna go for it. It kind of just was like, okay, we got it. So my whole purpose of starting this company was so that my kids can make money and also have the experience of working. Not waiting until they're out of school to start working.
That's a good reason to start your company early.
Hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Now, these are some of the products you have. I wasn't able to try all of these guys, but the lemonade, oh, it is amazing. My husband fell in love with it the first time he tasted it because I took like almost a whole container home, and he was like, "Oh
Hmm.
no, this is mine." I was like, "No, I wanted to eat this with my dinner, right? I want to have something sweet with my dinner."
Yeah.
And just the taste of it, I was like, "Oh, I got to find out where you are located." And I don't know about getting him a lot of sweets because he is a diabetic, but he loves. Maybe I might treat him to something. I don't know yet. I see that you have sour baits and freeze dried moon pies. Are
Yeah.
those good?
Yeah. So, have you ever had an oatmeal cream pie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so basically, what that is just the oatmeal cream pie into a freeze dryer and pull all the moisture out, so it makes it very crunchy and airy, and it tastes amazing.
Oh wow. Okay. Now, what are your caramel bombs?
Okay, those are just caramel M and M's. And once you put them in the freeze dryer, the caramel puffs up. And those were one of the first things that I tried because they were considered more the easier candy. I tried those and Skittles, and when I tell you the M and M's are like one of the things that we kind of like make for ourselves. We don't like we sell them, but when we make them, it's like okay, make a pan for the house because everybody loves them. Like we love the caramel M and M's.
Oh wow, that looks. Oh, oh. Might have to get some of that.
Yeah, they're
And
definitely a good seller.
you also have caramel crunch, um, and caramel crunch large. Now, what is the peach circle? Is that
Okay, so those are peach rings, and they're actually um like tahini. It's like a spicy mixture. It's just the seasoning on top of them. And we were doing those with the peach rings and the gummy worms. And they were selling a lot also. Um, and we also freeze dry both of those too.
okay? Wow. So it has a hint of spiciness.
Yes, spicy
Hmm.
and tang. Yep.
Spicy and tang. Okay, okay. That sounds interesting. Hmm. My son, I'm gonna have to send this to my son. He loves sweets like this. But we've never tried it, this way before. So this might be a whole new experience.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Galaxy balls,
And those
fruit
are just us.
bursts.
We have the Skittles are a big seller also, and then the balls that you see in the containers, those
Mm-hmm.
are Jolly Ranchers.
Jolly Rancher.
Yes. They don't look the same, but when you put them in the freeze dryer, they puff up into like a circle ball, and they're real like it's almost like a you ever like you know how you make ice snow
Mm-hmm.
cone? Okay, it's like that. It kind of like just falls apart when you bite into it. Hmm.
Oh wow! And those are Jolly Ranchers.
Yes, the hard Jolly Ranchers.
I should have got and you had those on the table.
Yes, I
Yeah,
definitely did. Uh-huh.
remember the little boy and his father looking at those. Oh wow. Okay. Now what are your galaxy bombs? Is that
Uh, the Galaxy Bombs are those are you ever had saltwater tappies? They're like a big thing down in Atlantic City. Well, where I'm from, they're like in Atlantic City. They're real sticky. And those two, you just put them in the freeze dryer and they puff up into a round ball, and then it's almost like a snow cone kind of like that flakiness.
okay? Okay.
Yeah.
And the milk bombs.
And those are Milk Duds. They're chocolate. Those and Snickers. I'm starting to like. I see a lot of people love those. We don't do a lot of chocolate because the chocolate kind of melt. Chocolate doesn't freeze dry. So with the Milk Duds and the Snickers, we probably do about like a handful of those at certain events.
Okay.
But they always sell out the moment we put them out.
And that's amazing because if you think about it, he started a business, and the events and things that he is going to is bringing in that revenue to, like, hey, this can be something even bigger that you can branch out in into, just branch out into.
Yeah, this weekend we did a basketball event for independent hoops, and when I say we sold out of everything, we did freeze dried candy, we did slushies, and we did the lemonades. When I say it was like that was our first time with the slushie machine. That was our first time with the lemonade at a basketball event.
Mm,
So we were really surprised and we did really good. So we're waiting on our next event coming up.
wow. Okay, okay. That is amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah.
And they're at that right age too. I like that.
Yeah.
Um, Now, why do you think it's important to start young?
I think it gives them a sense of responsibility. For my kids, they're responsible for making sure that we have everything we need to have before we get to the event, making sure they have their cups, their tops, their straws, making sure that the candy is prepared the week before. Um, and it makes them understand, like, when my oldest son, he goes to a private school. And, when we first got here, we wasn't expecting to go into a, private school at the time. So
Okay.
my husband had to take on a second job. And I didn't think that my son understood how much work and how much my husband do to make sure that he stays where he want to stay. Um, he was offered, to go to a lot of different schools, but this is where he wanted to be at Augusta Christian. And my husband was like, "If this is what you want, I'll work hard to make sure you stay." So once he started working, I think this weekend, because we had a 3-day weekend and it was long hours, I felt like they kind of understood, like, okay, when my dad come home from work, that 15, 20 minutes that he need to just, you know, drop everything and just get his mind together, it's important. Coming
Mm,
home to a house that's clean, is important because when you come back from working 12 hours a day, you don't want to come home and have to clean up.
yeah.
So I think that starting them young teaches them responsibility, and it also teaches them that money don't grow on trees. Because a lot of kids think that they're supposed to have, and a lot of kids are wealthy enough to have parents that can give them, just money, money, money. And for my kids, it's just not like that.
Yeah.
So them working for it, it makes them appreciate a lot more.
Hmm. Hmm. And you made a good point, because even if they're wealthy parents and they can afford to keep giving these kids these iPhones, starting in elementary school, you know,
Yes.
teaching them the wrong type of values to have, because when they're 16, 17 and they're going off to college and got to get a job, they're not going to know about taxes. They're not going
Mhm.
to understand. They're thinking they're making $1,000 or $2,000, but they're only making 800 of that, because
Right.
the more money you make, the more taxes come out. And a lot of people don't get that and understand that, especially with the younger generation. So
Right.
I think that it's good. All of us need to understand, to start young.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Now you are a strong, beautiful queen. Okay, I don't know if you hear that a lot, but you are a strong, beautiful queen, and you are
Thank
raising
you.
your kids. Oh, the world needs to be more like you. Okay,
Thank you.
because that is where it's at. Especially when you come into being in the entrepreneur world.
Hmm.
Our great grandparents started off in their homes, being barbers, being hairstylists, being, flowers or whatever it was, even cooking meals and selling those, right? So it
Hmm.
starts young. They get to see you, and that's where that generational wealth coming in. And you
Right.
want to talk about normalizing the generational wealth.
Yes. I think that growing up in my, like, when I was younger, you know, I was the only daughter for my mom. I was the only granddaughter for my grandma. I was the firstborn. And when I say I didn't really understand, like I had it good. I had a really good life. So one thing I didn't have was someone to tell me about credit. One that could tell me like, hey, even though you're getting this money, at least save some, you know. And I think that that's where our kids go wrong because they don't know that, my youngest son, I talk about taxes with him all the time, and his favorite line is, I don't want to get old because I don't want to pay taxes. It's like he's been saying that since he was 8 years old. And I feel like if we show them that you can work for yourself, as long as you focus and put your all into it, you don't have to go out there and work for somebody else. You can work for yourself. You can get your credit right. You can be able to get a car when you're 18, when you're off to college. You can be able to get your own apartment. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to prepare them for the future because, I don't know how long I'm going to be here or how long his dad is going to be here. But I want them to be able to be prepared so that they're not looking crazy, when they get older.
That is so true. Now you touched on not being here. Um, for those of you that don't know, and I hope I'm pronouncing this word correctly because you do have a podcast that talks all about it and to help the community understand what this is and how it affects people that have it and the families as well. So we're going to talk about this a little bit, guys. Um, she's an advocate. She's really passionate about this because she has to live with this. And it is called sclerodoma.
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 Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys. And your podcast, is that called The Teal Room?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, how did you come up with that name?
Um, so teal is the color for sclerodoma awareness. So, I talked. I just, like I said, I bounced it around between friends and family, and then I just came up with the till room. Long as it has something to do with sclerodoma, I didn't want to put sclerodoma in the title because I felt like it would scare some people off. But the till room was kind of something that kind of stuck with me.
Okay. Now, can you let the people understand what that is and how it affects you?
Okay, sclerodoma is like a condition that it pretty much hardens the skin. It hardens the skin and it makes it squeeze so that, you know, it makes it hard for you to move and hard for you to like, breathe because when the skin is tightening, it starts to affect your organs and your lungs and stuff like that. In 2013, I was diagnosed with sclerodoma. Um, I just was, working and I was having trouble with like breathing, getting up from low areas. I went to the doctor and they asked me to go to the emergency room. They actually transferred me to the emergency room. And it took about 2 weeks. And I went down to Temple and they told me, you know, they gave me all these different diagnoses. And then they were like, hey, we think you had something called sclerodoma. So
Mhm.
for about a year, it took me a year to actually, you know, say to myself, okay, listen, you have it. We had enough time being depressed about it.
Mm.
So let's try to move forward with, getting the help that you need. And for a year and a half, I think I took some time just to kind of get myself together. And once I found out, I felt like the disease progressed a whole lot. I wasn't able to walk. I wasn't able like to get myself dressed. Um, like it really took a hold to like it changed me for the rest of my life. So having sclerodoma, being on medicines, like I'm on 19 pills a day. Most of it's for like my heart, my blood pressure. Some of it's for scleroderma. Some of it's like for like Raynaud's disease. Because once you have scleroderma, there are different diseases that come along with it.
Oh.
Um, so you kind of just once you get it. I mean, once it's found in you, you kind of start to tell a doctor like, okay, well, my hands and my toes are cold. So they say, okay, well, you have Raynaud's. So had we would have known that in the beginning, we probably could have diagnosed you a little earlier.
Mm.
Um, and I think that when me having scleroderma, it affects my family a lot because my youngest is 12 and my oldest is 16. My youngest, I don't, without having an adult with us, it's hard for us to get around because I need assistance. And, he's not at the point where he's strong enough to, help me with my wheelchair or stuff within that manner. With my oldest son, he seen me when I was at my best,
Mm-hmm.
and he seen me when I first got diagnosed and through my transition. So I think for him, a lot of times I feel guilty or I feel bad because there's things that we want to do. And don't get me wrong, we
Yes.
still do a lot of things, but there are things that I wish that I could do more with him,
Mm-hmm.
and to take less pressure off of him. But this is the life that we're dealt. So far we've been dealing with it. I mean, we have our ups and our downs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that since being here, I haven't had as many episodes as I've had in the past.
Oh wow.
But yeah, God is good, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
He's made a change for me.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And you can definitely, you have to want to fight because my husband, he's just now, he went through this for a whole year. It started out as tingling in his hands and his feet.
Mhm.
If you touch him on his arm, he can feel it near his ribs. Um,
Mhm.
he went to the emergency room over 10 times within a 3 month period. And he's just now being diagnosed with having, I'm hoping it's they say that it's diabetic neuropathy, but
Mhm.
he's going to see a neurologist. So when you're saying dealing with something and it finally coming to grips, this is what I have. I'm going to be disabled, but I'm not going to let it take over the rest of my life. I'm going to
Right.
live. And thank you for saying that because now I can understand what my husband is saying. Um, as far as him wanting to eat some of the foods that he know he has no business with,
Yeah.
or and 19 medications is a lot. Is a lot. I lost my mom when I was 9. She was born with a heart problem, so she
Mhm.
passed away at 37. So I do understand what it's like and the effect that it can have on families. Because my husband, he wants to go outside and play with the grandson. He wants to take him fishing, but he's just not able to because
Yeah.
the hot and cold can make him pass out.
Right.
So, and you haven't been living with this, you say, since 2013.
Yes. Mhm.
So now, is this a condition that may can run in the family, or is this something new? Because I've never heard of this.
They say that it's not hereditary, like it's not something that could be passed on. But like I said, once I started like getting into learning more and being involved with different people with scleroderma, I'm learning that it's not as rare as people may think. Like moving to south down south, a lot of people here have scleroderma.
Oh
Versus
wow.
when I was living up north, I didn't know that many people who had it. Um, and there are a few cases of mother daughter who may have it or father daughter that may have it. So I guess they say it's like a 1 in 100,000 chance that someone would get it.
Mm,
Um, but with like a lot of people on the podcast, we're starting to believe that, and don't quote me on this, but we're starting to believe that it's something that has to do with the environment, that people are catching it. Like some people who may live near army base, or some people who may have worked with trucks that had what is it called? Not gasoline. What's the other thing that's next to gasoline? Um,
I don't remember. It's not fit. Not fossil fuel.
but when you go to the gas pump, there's two pumps.
Diesel.
Diesel. Yeah.
Diesel.
So a lot of people who work with trucks with diesel, um, tend to think that that could be a cause. And I also thought that maybe it could be diesel because that's where I was working before. I used to work with a company called Case. That's children and adults with disability. I was working with just the trucks, like driving them to programs and driving them to like home and stuff. And that's when I started feeling sick because I had had my second child by then. I had no problems, and
Oh,
then once I started working, for that company, driving the trucks, I felt like things started getting worse. And that was around 2012, 2013.
okay. Wow. Guys, this is her Instagram page. I will be putting this in the description as well. I didn't put this on the ticker. I forgot about this one. But if you would like to know more, if you would like to listen to her podcast, because she do talk to some amazing people um, as well that has gone through this, and this is just, you know, something that we all need to pray for and keep our
Yes.
heads in awareness because you don't know what someone's going through. So it's okay to be kind and gentle and patient.
Hmm.
So God bless you and your family. Um,
Thank you.
and again, you're very welcome. So I want to thank everyone. This is first episode of season 3, and this is phenomenal. Again, her name is
Yes.
Latasha, and is it Ruffin Morton or is it just Latasha Morton?
Latasha Ruffin Morton.
Okay, Latasha
Yeah.
Ruffin Morton. Thank you. She is in the Grovetown area. That's about 15, 20 minutes away from me. I'm in Augusta, Georgia. Um, and I
Okay.
want to give a big shout out to Mike Jones. He is a phenomenal person that is doing
Yes.
amazing things in Augusta, Georgia area as well. Um, so you guys stay tuned. This is the first episode. As always, be bold, be beautiful, and be blessed. And if you would like to join and come on and tell your story, your inspiration, please reach out. You can find my website, www.entrepreneurempire.site. You guys take care.